Greg, it's MLS rivalry week. Every team in the league almost is playing against their most bitter rivals. You guys are going up against the Montreal Impact. What kind of challenge do they pose to your team coming off of a weekend game against New York?
I think they're a good team. I think they're confident. They're riding high. I think they had a good run, obviously, at the beginning of the year in CONCACAF. I think they have a pretty good sense of themselves. They're dangerous in the counterattack. Obviously, Piatti is a good player with time and space and the ability to get on the move with the ball. He can really make plays. Romero is a guy who takes people on. They have a number of players who can get at you from a defensive standpoint. And I think they're fairly organized as a defending team. So I think they're a good team. I think a lot of people were writing them off early in the year, and I've always thought that they're a good team. And we need to be sharper than we were on the weekend. We have to get off to a little bit better start. Goals change games. You can't give away goals early in games, because then teams coming in into our place are going to alter the way they play and really minimize spaces and make it difficult on us. And that's a little bit of what happened to us on the weekend.
Do you as a coach change the way you approach a match when it's a derby, when there's emotion on the line and there's history on the line, or do you treat it like any other league game and you prepare as such?
What they do will have nuances maybe in how we want to defend, little adjustments that we'll want to make. We're not going to change who we are or how we go about things, but obviously every team has a little bit something different about them, and you want to make sure you take those things into consideration. We'll do the same thing for them, but our objective is to get 3 points.
During a derby match, sometimes tensions can be a little bit high, and the performances can maybe be a little bit more aggressive. Do you take those kinds of things into account, and do you see a difference in the way teams or your own team performs against Montreal as opposed to against other teams?
No, I think emotions run high based on circumstances in a game. If something happens, then the game will start to take a certain direction. I thought that was the same of our game this past weekend. I think it has the potential this weekend, but we go in expecting to just play hard, to play for 3 points, stay focused on the task at hand, which is playing good soccer and scoring goals, preventing goals, and whatever happens within the context of the game, we have to be ready to make the adjustments and play accordingly. But if that means physical play, then we need to match that. If that means anything else, we just need to be ready to handle it, because every game takes its own sort of personality once it gets going.
How's morale after the bruising you guys took on Saturday?
Yeah, good. Frustrated and disappointed. We had our chances in the game. We make a few mistakes, of which a couple we get punished for. I thought, as I said, we started the game on the wrong foot a little bit, and we need to address that as a group. But I think, in terms of physical recovery and all that stuff, the guys are ready. I think it's a good thing that we're back on the field in just a couple days.
Have you sort of contacted the league about Jacobson's sort of elbow to the back of her key?
Yes, we've contacted the league, and they reviewed it. My understanding is that there isn't anything that's going to be done about it. It's beyond baffling to me. To me, it's as vicious of an attack on a player who is defenseless and facing the other direction of anything I've seen in the league maybe in a couple of years or more. I just don't understand how with video. I've looked at it many, many times, and I don't know how with the video evidence and looking back at something, you can't say that was some form of an egregious act on a player who was towards his head, which is something that we in this day and age of concussions, that we tend to be very concerned about, how that can be acceptable, because now every other play that looks like that in the box should be acceptable, and that's setting a standard that I think this league does not want to get into. But clearly with the disciplinary committee, they found that to be okay, and I find that disgusting in my own opinion.
Did they give an explanation as to why?
I haven't had an explanation. I don't know the explanation. So maybe I'm not privy to that information, but I don't have one yet.
We saw with the New York game, many of the team's objectives in this league is just going to be nullifying the effects of Sebastian Giovinco. How do you get other players in the midfield, say like a Jonathan Osorio, more involved in the attack and getting more shots on net?
I think in the course of that game we had some good opportunities. Michael got into the box and had a really good opportunity on a number of occasions. One time he really needed to release a shot that he ended up laying off. But like I said, goals change games, and when teams come in, especially on the road, and they get an early goal, they're really going to make spaces tight and compact, and they're going to battle and scrap and fight to hold on to that 1-goal lead. And we ran into a little bit of that. If we could have picked up a goal, I think we would have opened them up. But in terms of Sebastian just needs to continue to do the work that he does, and we continue to work through the things that we work. Every game is different. Spaces open up. They did credit to them. They did a good job of minimizing space and having physical presence on our players all around the field, and and based on a number of things between how the game is refereed and the context of the game, they did what they set out to do, and kudos to them. They got a result. For us, it's to recognize that and make adjustments along the way. But I don't think we need to change too much. We had enough chances in that game to win the game, and we had enough opportunities to be a little bit more dangerous if we were just a little bit sharper. And in the end, they had very few, if any, chances other than the ones we granted them. So we don't have to change too much. We need to be a little sharper than we were on the night.
One more for Greg, guys.
Greg, you've been around the league as a player in different management roles. How does the 401 Derby, Toronto versus Montreal, compare to some of the other derbies that you've been involved with as both a player and as a coach?
I think it's an interesting one in a lot of ways, just because there's a number of sporting levels where the rivalry between Montreal and Toronto exists, and I think this is another one. Fans clearly don't care much for each other in this, which I think makes it all the more interesting. It's two teams, I think, that are in a good way now and are fighting for respect and position, I think, in this league, and fighting to be playoff and championship contenders. And so for me, it's the rivalry is very intriguing. I think as I said, it's for us to come out and really set the tone and to try to, in front of our home fans, really drive the intensity of the match. And we need to turn things around with the results tonight or tomorrow. And so it's for us to push the game a little bit.